Welcome to Boxing Fans Talk TV. I'm your host, TDT, or you can refer to me as Miss T. I wanted to talk a little bit about an article I read. So we're going to talk about a little boxing too. But let's turn to. Welcome back to Fans Talk TV. I'm your host, TDT. And as I said, you can refer to me as Miss T. If you're looking at me through Facebook, stop what you're doing. Go into your YouTube, pull up my name, Boxing Fans Talk TV, click the live button, and come on into the chat. Join us. But if not, you can always call in. My number is scrolling at the bottom, 706 804 4449. Before we get started, y'all know I like to rock out a little bit. I like beats. So here we go. Let's rock out. Supposed to be go beat. Hey, look, this is playing right. I found this little nugget. That white boy jamming. Go ahead, boy. Y'all saw how he put that cowbell in there? He got a little go-go with it. That's what made me look him up. So, all beats uh, all music start with a nice beat. And I'm a percussionist, like, at heart. Don't mean I could play, but I used to, when we was younger, you hit known that we call it the green thing, like them big electrical units outside to be housed in the green little covering. We used to be out there drumming beats, call ourselves making up raps. So when I saw this white boy jamming on the drums, I was like, wow, I like that. So Anywho, I was, doing my usual, trying to get ready for the show and reading articles. And I came across this article and I got stuck. I didn't read but one article pretty much today, and we're going to talk about it. So here's the thing. So I don't know who Ken Heisner is. I don't know if he's, a troublemaker, a conservative type person. I don't know. I don't know his deal. I don't know anything about him. I did not like the title of his article, or I should say, it caught my eye. And the article title was, "Who will be the next Black Hope to be the heavyweight champion?" Let me read that again. Who will be the next Black Hope to be the heavyweight champion? Eric Gomez is in the building. What's popping, King? Um, that caught my eye because I was like, do we even talk like that? And when I say we, I'm talking about black folks in America or black boxing fans. I don't think that we do. I'm not trying to be here and making hay out of it, but I think it's important to talk about things. When y'all hear me say revisionist writing or consensus writing, I like to jump on that and point it out because this is where it starts. We have a lot of that in history, and nobody can really pinpoint and say, it started right here. So in real time, when I see that it's starting or somebody's trying to do it, I jumps on it. I'm like, right here. And it's up to us to correct the narratives and change it back around. So this is the only reason why I'm talking about it, because we as Black Americans, we don't say great Black hope. We never been about that. If somebody think we have, y'all could chime in, call in, let me know. This is interesting. It's interesting for us to know. Let me know if that's a term that we as black fans of boxing, if we ever felt that way or we ever thought that way. I can promise you I never did. I don't think nobody ever did. I've never heard that term until I was reading this article. So I'm going to read that again. Who will be the next black hope to be the heavyweight champion? Yeah. Now, to me, it was all kinds of things wrong with that title. So I went into a research dive on where the hell that come from. But first, I read the article. So as I'm reading the article, I'm seeing that this guy apparently coined this phrase some years ago. He tried to it seemed like the beginning part of the article, he was trying to justify why he's saying it or what have you. And for me, I was like, I still don't get it because that's not something we look at. We, as boxing fans, black, white, yellow, and purple, we look at the best fighting the best. We look at if you want to be a boxer, then that's what you want to do. Go for it. And if you have the goods, we're going to pay to see you. I'm not going to not like a fighter because of their race or whatever. But I will always support my own. Always. Unapologetically. I will always. Because I'm not going to wait for no one else out there to support us if we can't support ourselves. So when he writes this title, it of course it causes a little bit of confusion. I can speculate, and I'm trying to be fair and unbiased and not make a big to do out of it, but I have to. I have to point it out because we never worried about no great black hope. We never, that ain't nothing we ever said. And so as I was looking into it, you know, what caught my eye, I just said, let me look into the history and see what this man is trying to say. He's trying to change the narrative. I got to point this date out. I got to say something to him because you're not going to flip this on us as if this is what we're saying. This is all y'all saying. And y'all could be anybody at this point. What's up, Demetrius Bright? What's popping, King? So, as I'm looking, the Great Black Hope, we know or have heard of the Great White Hope, but nobody, to my knowledge, unless I'm wrong, Demetrius chime in, Eric chime in, all of y'all chime in. Unless I'm wrong, I've never heard of the Great Black Hope. Never. We didn't need that because we dominated. And I'm going to say that unapologetically. We dominated the 20th century. Let me just say that. Because boxing was something you heard on the radio to seeing on TV. Boxing, I'm not counting nothing way back in the day. I was shocked when I was doing this research to learn that blacks had a color league like they had in baseball. I didn't know that. I didn't know that, but I did know that white people had a united front back then, talking the early part of the 20th century and in the latter part of the 19th century, where they would not entertain fighting a black man because they're not gonna never let him become champion. And what did black people do about that? As they did what they always do. Well, we gonna go form our own. So that there was a color league. Demetrius said, never, never, never. I didn't either. So we heard of Great White Hope, but never Great Black Hope. We you don't need that when you dominate. You don't need that. So the whites had their champions in the 1800s, and the black had their champions in the 1800s. Of course, whites controlled or the word the power that be in this country. So everything that they had was more established, more financially equitable, and things that blacks had were, substandard compared to what they had. But, again, if you shut us out, it's just innate in us to go get our own. But it didn't mean that we didn't want to desegregate and just like come together and be like, look, we want a chance to be champions too. And if y'all blocking us just for our skin color, well, that's not right. And that was the battle of the early parts of the 20th century. Now, they did a good job with keeping blacks out. A lot of white champions and notable fighters were real good about, you know, stalling or keeping out the black fighters until one day. Stephen Houston in a building was popping king. You talking about how blacks hope. That's what the article said. The new who will be the next Black Hope. And I find that a strange title because we don't even talk in those terms. When you're a person who have dominated or people who have dominated for so long, what the hell we need to come up with a title like that? It's whoever wants to box. So I reiterate that for anybody watching, even white folks, it's whoever want to box. If you want to box, then go for it. If you the goods, you the goods. We don't care about the color. Whites in that time cared about the colors. Now somebody's writing an article like that, you bringing that unnecessary shit back because it's not about the color. It really ain't. But I know it's about the color for most of y'all. It ain't really about the color for us. I don't believe. Stephen Houston said, how mean, how heavyweight. Yeah. We run boxing. uh Facts. Okay, yeah. So when they said that, I was like, the hell this dude talking about? Is he trying to start something? Is he doing some consensus writing? Because I'm gonna be on his ass, you know. So first of all, let's get into it. There was a such thing as the Great White Hope, and it was introduced during Jack Johnson's reign or era in boxing. Okay, and it was basically who can we get to dethrone this dude? I'm saying it nicely. Get to dethrone this dude who seemed to be beating everybody ass. Nobody can beat this man. That's why they didn't want blacks in boxing. They don't want you at that time. They didn't want you to be the president. They didn't want you. You can cut a jig for them. You can sharecrop for them, but you cannot be holding no titles like world champion, Miss America, President of the United States. Those shits. That was not available to blacks in the turn of the century, meaning the 20th century. Demetrius Bright said that's why Joe Louis went broke later in his life due to those white Jim Crow laws to fight a white champion. The black fighter will have to give him 15% of his purse for the entirety of his career. Facts. We know it was unfair. We not crying about what happened yesterday, but we're not going to sit up here and act like we don't know history. Because to anybody who's young, who haven't did a cursive read of history, they hear that title, Great Black Hope, as if that's something we concentrate on. We never did. As I said, as black people, we dominated boxing. Once we got in, we dominated. And I will offer facts to that. So the Great White Hope was coined by white people to explain the opponent who is white who will dethrone Jack Johnson. That was the Great White Hope. It was never no Great Black Hope. It was a Great White Hope. And it dates back to the early 1900s. Okay? Because Jack Johnson at that time seemed invincible. You know, he will fight fights and they will like not let him win. Like they would not end the rounds um until they felt that their fighter could get over and win. You know, he was doing 30 something rounds, 20 something rounds, 40 something rounds. That's fucking ridiculous. But when you can't accept the fact that in boxing, nobody was saying that Jack Johnson was a scholar. Nobody was saying he's the best man since sliced bread. Nobody was saying anything like putting him above white men or anything else. They were saying because this man's chosen field of occupation was boxing, he was saying, I am the greatest. I am the best. And the only way to prove you the best is to beat everybody. This was a bridge too far for white people during that time. He couldn't be the best because only white people could be the best. I'm not telling y'all something y'all don't know, and I'm not being racist to any white people who's watching. I'm talking straight historical facts. Okay? I did not like this article's name, The Great Black Hope. At this point in boxing, none of us, blacks, whites, none of us is on that shit. Now, I will say this, the Great White Hope, that shit has never died down for a lot of people. I would eat as much as I talk about the unfairness and racist tactics that Mexicans do. They not even on no great Mexican hope or great black hope or we nobody's saying that but white people, and that needs to stop because you cannot say that to a group of people who dominated. That just sounds crazy. So I don't. He tried to justify a little bit why he was saying it in the beginning of his article. To me, no justification. I'm not like angry, but I ain't gonna let that slide. I gotta speak on it. So, like I said, Jack Johnson was invincible, and any white man would have do. Any white man would do back then. If you could just beat Jack Johnson, then you can prove to the world that black people are inferior to us. That's what it was. But they couldn't do it. They could not beat this man. That, like I said, that is not something that black Americans or people coined. That was something that they coined. That was something that they was about. We were not about that. Never was. And I don't think we ever will be. We don't need to say that. We don't need to say that. So it was also made into a Broadway play, a famous Broadway play in the 70s. And it did talk, it was a racial thing. It was all about racial animosity and stuff. That's why again I did not like his title because you making it about race. And it's not about race. It's not about race. If it's not racist for us to want to support our own, then it's not racist. We got to say it's not racist for y'all to want to support your own. But in this country, it seems like Mexicans can always support their own and be like, well, why you pick him? Because he's Mexican. He's a Mexican warrior. Nobody trips on that. But why you pick him? Because he's from Ukraine. He's a Ukrainian warrior. He's an Irish warrior. He's an Italian warrior. Nobody trips. But when black people say I support black people because they are black warriors, we got a problem with that. And when you start talking about great black hope, don't drag us into that. We not looking for that. We know we the goods. We know we can get the job done. We don't need that shit. And you're not gonna put that jacket on us. So to anybody who read that article, any young person that listen to what I'm saying or catch my broadcast, that is not something that black people do. We have never been about that great black hope. We know what we got. We know what we can do. We never are saying that we cannot be beaten by a white person or Mexican person or nothing. We just know we the goods. Just like any sporting team, if you know that Tom Brady the goods, he's the good. We not gonna say, oh, he the great white hope. We not gonna say that. He is the goods, right? I don't even watch football, but y'all, I know enough that Tom Brady has done remarkable things in that sport, and he's gonna probably be in their Hall of. I can say probably is going to be in their Hall of Fame. The dude is awesome, right? He's not a great white hope. He's just a good player. He's a great quarterback. Enough said. So I'm not gonna let Ken Kisner or whatever his name, put that jacket on black folks because Deontay Wilder lost the fight. Because that's where all this is coming from. I'm not gonna let you do that to us, Ken. That's your problem. That's y'all. I don't even know what he looked like. I'm assuming that he's white. But that's a jacket you gonna wear, my brother. You ain't putting that jacket on us. Because that's not our thing. L Dub in the building was popping king. So as I say, the great white hope was any white man that could dethrone Jack Johnson. And it carried over. It carried over to the other black fighters because as the Joe Lewis's come around, Muhammad Ali's, the Sonny Listons, the Floyd Pattersons, all of these guys, as George Foreman, Joe Frazier, just all of these black heavyweights, as they coming along, some people don't like that. They looking for their great white hope. They kept that shit going. That's what they want. We didn't invent that. That was something they did. So we not gonna turn around and invent the great black hope. What you talking about, dude? Eric Gomez said Boots to me has the goods, but will Porter, Danny Garcia, Thurman, or Spence fight him to springboard him? Not sure. But what they're doing to him was done to them, and Boots gonna do it to people behind him. It's like what all of them say, we wait for our opportunity and we jump on it. You can't let an opportunity pass. Boots is the goods. He has called out everyone and they ignored him. And matter of fact, recently I think they put out that 15 fighters have turned him down. I don't see that Boots called out 15 fighters behind him. I think he was looking forward for most of them. So that would mean that the top people, the Terrence Crawfords of the world, the Earl Spence of the world, the Danny Garcias of the world, the Sean Porters of the world, the Keith Thurmans of the world, the Pacquiao's of the world. It sounds to me like all of them turned them down, right? But are they ducking or are they just on the pathway to their glory? I don't consider it ducking. I just think that they have their goals and they're trying to meet their goals. Their goals don't require or is necessary for them to look backwards. And that's what they will be doing if they try to get with Boots. I do hope Boots get an opportunity. But hey, that's what it is. That's how boxing goes. Best pugilist in the building was Poppin' King. So let me get back to this. To the Great Black Hope. Like I said, it was a famous Broadway play, The Great White Hope that was. And it was a racial element. And by the way, this is not how we, like I said, as African Americans view things. We want the best to fight the best. At this point in boxing, most of us boxing fans, that's what we want. We don't give a fuck what color you got on your skin. We want the best to fight the best. And Ken Kesner, you're starting some bullshit. And I just can't let you do it. Don't put that jacket on African Americans because we never was about that. As I said before, we got a whole century where we dominated. So why the fuck we gonna say something like, "Where's the great black hope?" when we dominated? Okay, so I took the liberty to like list a bunch of fighters. I'm actually gonna try to put it up. It's easy for me to do it like that. Hold up. Let me see. Um, is this the list? Oh, this is the list. Okay. So, hold up. So y'all see. Okay, look. So look. You go back to John Sullivan. Y'all look at the dates. It's 18, whatever. We go all the way down. Just try to get to the 20th century. Um, 1908. Okay, that's where it started. So for the first 8 years of the 20th century, Jack Johnson couldn't get no love. Don't he look like a black guy? Jack Johnson couldn't get no love. But once he got some love, meaning he got an opportunity, he was dominating. We can go down. Look at all these people. Now Jack Dempsey, he's a man of color. They say he has Indian heritage, Irish and Scotland. But I think he has some nigga in him too. But back then, a lot of people who could pass, they preferred to pass. But I'm gonna leave that alone because I ain't do no hardcore research on that. But he was a man of color. See, but yeah, I can read between the lines. As you go down, you see Max Baer and all them guys. I'm trying to get to Joe Louis. Look at that. These are all the people that let me get on this screen. These are all the people that he contended with. Like, he had to fight this people in this line over here. But Joe Louis, he reigned for a long time, had a lot of title defenses, right? If you go down, look how long that is. This guy, black, Jersey Walcott. His picture don't show up, but he's black. We know he's white. He's Italian. Shout out to Rocky. Like I said, we ain't got nothing against no white fighters. Black. This guy looks white. Black again, because Floyd Patterson won and then he lost, then he won, then he lost. Sonny Liston, we know who he is. Once we get to Muhammad Ali, I think a lot of us is caught up. But if I'm gonna just keep scrolling down. Black, black, Smokey Joe. Black, George Foreman. Muhammad Ali again. Leon, y'all know Leon Spinks, Ken Norton. Some of these people I ain't got to pull up no picture. Larry Holmes, Muhammad Ali again, John Tate. It says something about uh I didn't find a picture on him. Mike Weaver, some of these people, but all in all, I went through and wrote down all these dates, right? And what I found is that it's about roughly 26 to 33 years. That's a big jump, but like about 33 years in the 20th century when no black fighters were heavyweight champions. So I ask you again, what the fuck is he talking about with the great black hope? Enlighten me. 26 is 100 years in a century, right? So how is great black hope a thing? This is new. And I'm not going to let that slide without talking about it because you're not going to put that jacket on us. That's something y'all want to say because Deontay lost a fight. That's where we at with it. A whole 100 years. Y'all can claim, and it ain't just whites. There was Latinos in there and a couple of other people. So it ain't all whites. But it was first it was mostly blacks, and then behind that would be whites, and then behind that would be Latinos, like a couple. And but 30, 33 years tops, approximately, out of 100 years where somebody other than black held the heavyweight title. But we are searching for the next black coat. Are you fucking serious? We don't need, that's why I said we don't need to search for that. We don't need that shit. We dominate anyway. Y'all, and I stopped at 85 when I made that count. Cause I ain't even Mike Tyson not in that count. A lot of people not in it. Lennox Lewis is not in that count. You know what I'm saying? As Evander Holyfield is not in that count. Cause I mean I could come all the way up to now. It's just crazy. You know, we dominated. We won't be looking for no black hope. We don't need to look for it. We just need to find a good heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? That's something y'all want to do. Y'all want to put that jacket. Y'all enjoy. Y'all enjoy this Tyson Fury reign. It won't last long. I don't like that. I don't like that. Don't try to change the narrative like that's something we do. That is all about y'all. We've never been into that. We had the color league in the 1800s. And then when we finally got in, we dominated. And if that's a source of agony or a soreness for people, I can tell you for me, I don't give a fuck. It's facts. Just like if they dominated, I wouldn't care. It's facts. The best fight the best. That's all we care about. So don't try to invent nothing, Ken Kisner, Keisner, whatever, about no great black coat. Who he put as great black coat? AJ. Really? AJ, the one who fights scared, the one who have anxiety. Anxiety is nothing to play with. But if you suffer from that, you don't need to be a boxer at all. But we know he fights scared. We know he is scared. That's why him and Deontay has never fought. Who else they said? Dillian White, that scrub, the cheater. You see how I can be objective, and he's black like me, but he's a cheater, so he don't mean shit to me. I don't like him. Y'all can claim him, but oh, he's the next great black hope. Are you serious? I said yesterday, Deontay is the king, and I don't give a fuck who else they talk about. He the king. He ain't gonna beat the throne. Not in my eyes. Not in my eyes. Then they said Jared Big Baby Anderson. Okay, Jared is new to the scene. He's a black guy with talent, and he can box. But we not saying, oh, he's our great black hope. We don't need a hope. We know it's just a matter of motherfucking time. Just a matter of time. Just a matter of time before we be out on top. We know that. So y'all don't listen to that shit and let them put that jacket on you. That we press for that. Tyson Fury won, and I said I will wait to see if there was any nefarious shit going on or any foul play. I'm already hearing that he got to wear them gloves. That's foul right there because basically it makes it sound like he had a knuckle brawl. You know, he had a knuckle brawl, and I don't even know why they even allow gloves that have horsehair in the first place to be a part of any professional fight or amateur for that matter. Because you can move hair around. And I don't even know how you allow old gloves to be worn in a professional bout. So for me, that's cheating. But I don't know for a fact. This is what I heard, and I heard it from a reliable source. But I don't know that all the way, and I'm saying that. I'm being honest. But if he was allowed to wear his knuckle gloves, what in the fuck is that? To me, that's cheating. Okay? We don't need no black hope. I mean, and you trying to make it seem like y'all just been dominated. No. Let's get that straight. It's been, in our lifetime or in times that we can recall, go back to the beginning of the 20th century to now. Who has dominated heavyweight championships? Was it whites? Was it Mexicans? Was it uh, Arabs? Was it Asians? Or was it blacks? Hmm. Blacks. We dominated. So why in the hell when we come up, we looking for our great black hope? We don't need to look. They always there. They always there, waiting for an opportunity. We don't need to look. I think Jared Anderson is going to make a splash in the heavyweight division because he can actually box. I will say, Fa Ajaba got exposed because he's not really a boxer. Sanchez might make a splash. I don't give a fuck that he Cuban. Dude got black skin, and that's how the world gonna look at him. So we don't need no great black hope. We had Luis Ortiz that all these people were scared of. Tyson Fury included, scared of him. Tyson was scared of Deontay. He just figured out a way to get over on Deontay, to have leverage over him. And I'm not saying that as a sore loser. He won the fight. But if we find out in the coming weeks that it was some foul play, we're gonna talk about it. And already gloves, horsehair gloves, use horsehair gloves. But because he was the champion, we gotta let that go, right? We gotta let him do what he do. I call that foul play. Why you just can't wear no brand new gloves that where the padding is good and secure and it's fresh? Why you gotta wear something that you really be having your knuckles coming through? This is not knuckle boxing. It's boxing, but white people, for those who care about that great white hope shit, they've been dying for a great white hope. They've been dying for to have a white man dominate the sport. It wouldn't matter to me what color Tyson Fury is. If he won, he won. But to them, it means something. To me, it don't mean shit. Because you can line up 100 white heavyweights and 100 black heavyweights, and I can almost guarantee, I'm 99.9% sure that it'll be a couple of white ones that that go to the top, and everybody else will be black. That's just my feeling. Why do I have that feeling? I look at the 20th century. If I just look at the 20th century, that tells me all I need to know. I'm looking at the past to see how I can assess the future. It has always been a thing. This is why they never let blacks into boxing in the first place. They didn't want them to fight those white guys because they knew that the blacks would win. It wasn't about they knew that they were superior or we was inferior to them. They knew that genetically, the way that our bodies are set up, we would win. Nothing about that has changed. So when this guy writes an article talking about the great black hope, I'm like, what? I don't want none of y'all black folks to buy into that shit. Don't listen to it. Don't buy into it. Don't give it no credence. I had to speak on it because they gonna float that shit out and just like you gonna slip that one past me. You're not gonna slip that one past me. You put that jacket on your own goddamn self. Be happy that your guy did win. Relish in that. I guarantee you he won't last long in that shit because he a cokehead. He a cheater. And cheaters never prosper. He ain't gonna last long. And you can't go to the four corners of the earth and say, y'all know about Tyson Fury? They ain't gonna be like, Tyson who? Tyson Fury? Mike Tyson? I know about Mike Tyson, but I don't know about no Tyson Fury. He not gonna be memorable. He not gonna carry the torch in the Olympic games and light the fire for the Olympics, the start of the Olympics. And he not gonna honesty will never be attached to his name. Integrity will never be attached to his name. When we grow old and die, we'll forget about him. but that's their one. That's their one. And I actually looked in the 20th century to come up with these numbers of like 33 years, approximately 33, between 26 and 33 years that somebody other than a black person held the title in 100 years. That ain't even half, y'all. That's not half. So again, where the great black hope come from? We ain't got to wait that long. They already here, just waiting on the opportunity. You had Tommy Guns, somebody named Herbie Hyde, Vitaly Klitschko, Vladimir Klitschko, John Ruiz, Corey Sanders. Just the name. That's all they had that I can name. I wasn't worried about the ones in the beginning part of the 20th century. But that's it. So what you really saying is your white guy won. I told you we superior. That's how I took that article. There's no way, there's no other way for me to take that article. And I reject that because boxing fans today were not on that. That was something that white people did, not the people today, because I'm sure none of us was here in 1900. None of us. But white people back then coined that phrase, and it was for a reason, and they had an agenda because it can't be that this black nigga is beating everybody. It can't be allowed because to them, that meant blacks are superior. But to us, that meant Jack Johnson was the better man in the fight. He was a superior boxer. He wasn't a superior uh, academic. He wasn't a superior leader or what. He was just a superior boxer. But to them, for any nigga to have some shine, that meant it fucked with their superiority complex. And for this guy to write that article, you're bringing that shit back. Maybe you didn't mean to, and I will give you the benefit of the doubt. But I'm just telling you, that's how it comes off. Because we don't talk like that. We don't care about shit like that. We was happy with Alexander Usyk. He is white as they come. We didn't give a fuck about his color. We looked at what he did in that ring. He was the better boxer. And that's all we cared about. The best fighting, the best. This guy is making it a racial element. And I just want to caution us on shit like that. We don't need no great black hope. If y'all need a great white hope, that's y'all business. But don't put that jacket over here. Anybody got something to say about it? Or tell me how y'all feel about that. 706 804 4449. That's 706 804 4449. Tell me how y'all feel about it. I'm gonna post the link in the chat. Um, and we can chop it up on that. But I thought that was interesting, and we got to stop stuff like that in its tracks, because this is, anything that happens, anything like today, anything that happens today, been brewing for 20 years. I don't know if people see things or see life like that. Nothing just happens out the blue. You'll be hard pressed to find anything that just happens out the blue. Stuff be brewing and brewing. And see, when he starts that, when we allow people to talk like that, we're opening a can of worms that we don't want to go down. We don't want to go backwards. We have made strides and progress as people, period, in this country. We don't need people trying to take us backwards. It is a fact that blacks dominate in sports. That's a fact. It shouldn't hurt nobody. It's a fact. There's places we don't dominate. But in sports, cold sports, no, we don't dominate. That shit is like kryptonite to us. We don't dominate. So it is a fact that white people dominate in cold sports and swimming and shit like that. That doesn't hurt my feelings. I know how to swim. I was in the Navy for 20 years. But I know a lot of white people that can swim way better than me, even children. That don't hurt my feelings. I know why I can't swim better than them, and I'm good with it. And I applaud them for whatever effort. If they want to be a swimmer and compete, I look at that too. I don't ski. The fuck, I ain't shit. Hell no. I'm not getting on nobody's slope. Hell no. Unless it's a little foothill. But people do. And I find it amazing. What kind of people? Mostly whites. And they look amazing doing that shit. I applaud them. I ain't mad at that. They do equestrian sports. Why? Because that shit costs money. And you know, most black people don't got it. And it's beautiful. And I applaud them. I don't have to say we gotta have a great black hope to get into that. We don't need that. We're not wearing that jacket. But when it comes to physical sports, football, basketball, boxing, we dominate. It's a fact. It's not an absolute. It ain't an absolute 100%, 100%. But it's we have a great percentage of blacks dominating in sports. It is what it is. So Ken, I think I want to caution you. Um, like I said, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. I don't know much about you, dog. So I'm not even trying to be funny about you or anything, but I think that's kind of not cool to write up things like that because you're starting shit, in my opinion. Nobody, most people, these young people today probably never even really thought about great white hype or great white hope, and then you bring it up like we looking for the great black hope, and that is so not true. No, but I don't know any black person. If y'all know a black person that talk like that, let me know. 706-804-4449. I put the link in the chat. Now I know this is this is a weird topic, but it had to be said. I have to point out when I see some foul shit, some potential foul shit. Because sometimes if we didn't notice that, what about the next article? That they go a little bit more deeper. Oh, they didn't say nothing about the black coat. Let me go a little bit more deeper. Oh, they didn't say nothing about this thing. Let me go a little bit more deeper. It's like if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. People like that. Not everybody, but people like that. And to me, they was starting some shit. That's how I feel. Y'all on that shit. We ain't on that shit. We don't need to be on that shit. When we dominating, we don't need to be on that shit. It would take y'all 100 years to catch up to us. Facts. So, yeah, miss me with that article and that heading. That's all you, bro. And people who think like you. But moving on, did anybody see the Porter versus Crawford press conference today? Anybody see that? Just watching that confirms even more that Porter is gonna lose that fight. Bud is gonna wax that ass. It confirmed just watching that press conference. I know even more, that it's all Bud. Um, they were very respectful of each other, which I found refreshing. But Bud said what he said. He said, we ain't friends to after the fight. Porter he's a good guy, he's a nice guy. Porter gonna play football and Bud gonna wax that ass. Simple as that. Porter came with no shirt on. He wanted to show that he been working out. I never really see him get totally out of shape, but I ain't see no cut up body like he normally look when he's in his weigh-ins. Bud was like, "Hey, I if it's gonna be all that, I can take my shirt off and show this motherfucking 8 pack. I stay in shape," which is true. If you know Bud, he always stay in shape, always. So I don't know. Maybe Porter felt like he had to convince some people more than Bud felt like he had to convince people. Um, what I took away from that is that they ready to get it in. They gonna really get it in, and they gonna give a good show. Sean was actually trying to sell a fight. Um, they're both good guys. They're not chaotic like the Charlos. You know what I'm saying? They're not like that. They're just good guys, and but when they get in that ring, we know Sean gonna give it all. That's what I do love about him. He leave everything in that ring. Bud is a complete fighter, and I compare him to every other welterweight. He's a more complete fighter than all of them, in my opinion. It's like I said, what can he do? That's the question. What can't Bud do? He can't like can he fight backing up? Yes. He ambidextric, which most fighters are not. Can he parry? Can he slip? Yes. Can he pull a counter? Yes. Can he check hook? Yes. Can he jab real good? Yes. Can he do the straight good? Can he hook? Can he uppercut? Yes. Can he do lateral movement? Yes. I mean, I can just go on and on and on and on. But I can't do that with Crawford. I can't even do that with Errol Spence. So when I say that Bud is the more complete fighter, that's what I'm talking about. He can do everything well or great, whatever adjective you want to use. He can do everything well. I cannot say that about anybody else. If somebody else could say that about, if one of you guys could say that about Earl or Virgil Ortiz or Boots or Porter, then please do. As good as Keith Thurman is, and I like Keith, because I was like, damn, I used to feel that way about Keith. But there's holes in Keith arsenal. There's some things Keith can't do. There's some things. Not a lot. He's a great fighter though. Earl's a great fighter, but it's a lot of things I've never seen Earl do. And they could say, well, nobody has made Earl have to do it. That's cool. I'll take that. I'll take that because I know he's a great fighter. That's why I'll take it. But it still don't change the fact that I've never seen him do everything. I don't have that feeling about him that he can do everything great. But he is a great fighter. I take nothing from him, you know, and that's why I said, okay, I'll take your word for it. Now, if you said, trying to think of a fighter that somebody could say that about, and I'd be like, nah, that's all he got. Lipinets is a good fighter. He's a great fighter, but Lipinets can't do everything. If somebody said were to say, Lipinets can do everything too, what can he do? I'd be like, nah, no, no. Virgil Ortiz, I'd be like, Now he's the hot ticket item. He coming up right now, right? Everybody, he feel like he want a piece of the big dogs, but he's not a complete fighter. If you said Ugas is, I would be like, oh, okay, he might be by virtue of the fact that he's a Cuban fighter, and we know that they are notorious for being complete fighters. But do he got power? Is his complete fighting ability better than somebody like Terrence Crawford's abilities? I don't know. They will have to get in the ring and see. But I could rock with if somebody said he's a complete fighter. If somebody was to say is Pacquiao a complete fighter, no, he's all right. He's a great fighter. Is he a complete fighter? No. But he would never go on my pound for pound because he cheated back in the day. Maybe up to this last fight, I don't know. But he was a cheater. Once a cheater, always a cheater to me. Sorry, can't forget those things. Um, but he's a great fighter. But Pacquiao, when Floyd was piecing him up, he couldn't fight going backwards. Pacquiao goes forward. That's all he could do. Can't go backwards. So he's not a complete fighter to me. Now, if you say Boots Ennis is a complete fighter, I would say yes. Yes. But is he ready for prime time? I don't know. He hasn't had the opportunity to show us he ready for prime time. Is he a complete fighter? Is the question. My answer is yes, he is. Now, even though I say that about him, but I didn't say that about Earl, because I've seen whether we like his opponents or not, talking about Boots Ennis, I've seen where he's shown what he could do, whether he needed to do it or not. The dude has a tool bag full, and he's a complete fighter. Whether Earl needed to or not, he has not shown in the ring how complete of a fighter he is. Do I think he is? I'm gonna err with maybe. I don't think that he's not, but I haven't. I'm just saying I haven't seen it. Another complete fighter, Devin Haney, complete fighter. He has some little tweaking he got to do because we know Gary Russell is a complete fighter, but Gary is seasoned. Shakur Stevens is like a complete fighter to me. Floyd was a complete fighter to me. You see where I'm going with this, you know? So when we talk about Porter and Crawford, I'm looking at the complete fighter. Kell Brook, as good as he was not a complete fighter to me. And I'm talking to Kell Brook before Triple G damaged him. He wasn't a complete fighter because Kell could 1-2 your ass to death. In that respect, he was perfect. If close to perfect that anybody can get. Kell could 1-2 your ass to death, and he be in a proper stance, and he knew how to set traps, and he knew a handful of stuff. But mostly his bread and butter was 1-2, perfectly executed. And some of these great fighters didn't really have an answer for it. He was piecing up Earl till Earl got him. Earl ain't no quitter. And that's what I love about Earl. That's how he beat Kell Brook. Earl gonna get in there and dog it out with you. And that's what he did. He made um Kell Brook quit because he's relentless. That's a quality a lot of people don't have. So you never know what qualities you have and qualities you don't have that will either help you on your way to glory or trip you up on your way to glory. And I'm sorry, I just think Porter, by him not being a complete fighter, and maybe he can in the gym, but when it's time to showtime, as his name is Showtime, he don't display it. He doesn't display it. There's so many things that Terrence could do to him that would expose him. If all he got is how he tried to run at his opponent, like he trying to sack the quarterback, if that's all he got, he gonna need more than that to fight top echelon fighters. It's not gonna work with people like Earl Spence or Terrence Crawford or even Boots Ennis. It's not gonna work. Those tactics are not gonna work. It didn't work. You knew it couldn't have worked with even Ugas because he said, I chose to box. You had to box. And it's questionable whether you won that fight. But you had to box. You couldn't come in there with Ugas with that shit because that's a complete fighter. Do Ugas have power? I don't know. I ain't been watching him long enough. But at first glance, I don't think so. He don't have knockout power or really sit your ass down type power. But neither do Sean. But we know Turnstone. We know Turnstone. Calling his opponents tomato cans does not change that. That's an opinion, you know. But like I said, what I took from this is no neither one of them was ducking. Bomac let it out that he did call Kenny Porter 2 years ago. Kenny confirmed that and said, "Yeah, you did," and you was asking about it. So for those of you who say that Terrence was ducking him, those two guys just both sides said no. So who we gonna go with? We're gonna go with what we feel and what we think, or we gonna go with the men involved say. Who know better than Bomac? Who know better than Kenny Porter? Those two. And Terrence and Sean did not rebut that. But those two said on that stage, yeah, we talked about this 2 years ago. Bomac said, "Are you ready?" And Kenny said, "We'll see, we'll see." But neither one of them were ducking each other. Now, if somebody, people can have their own opinion and say, well, if Bomac's saying, "Are you ready?" And then Kenny Porter, the only answer he could have said was, "Yes, let's get it on." Then if he didn't say that, then that would mean Sean ducking him. But see, in my opinion, I'm not even gonna say Sean was ducking him. I'm saying he asked the question. They did talk about it years ago. So all this talk about Terrence not wanting to fight people and he was ducking and all this stuff, that's not true. Also, I took from this, the TGB promoter, and he's working for Sean Porter and Team Porter. He was talking about, how things are. I guess Bob got to talk and he got to talk. And he said the fighters asked for the fights. and it falls on the promoters to make it happen. Terrence said, "Stop right there. Say that shit again. Play it again, Sam." That's what Terrence was like. Play that again, Sam. Not that the man name is Sam, but the guy repeated it, like basically saying that fighters ask for the fights, and then it becomes the promoter's job to make that fight happen. It's not the fighters that get in the way. As I just dropped the nugget that Kenny Porter and Bomac agreed that they did talk and they did act. So if it didn't happen, you have to look at Bob. You have to look at TGB promoter. You have to look at those guys and not look at the fighters or their trainers or managers, because those guys did act. So that narrative about Terrence Crawford not wanting to fight people, that is not true. That to me is what I mostly took from that press conference, because I know that's a narrative out there that's not really true. And who I'm gonna believe? I'm gonna believe those two guys. If Bomac would have said it, and then Kenny Porter would have backed off it and was like, "Nah, nigga, that shit didn't happen," then we got something here. We cooking with grease. But both of them agreed that they talked about it and they tried. So if they tried, it was the promoters. And that promoter said the fighters access and it's our job to make it happen. So if it didn't happen, it's them. And we know that Terrence had a one track mind. He was trying to get the Pacquiao fight. He really wanted that and been wanting that even before he came to the welterweight division. And that's what he wanted. So that's why I say, you guys, when these fighters, what a fighter has to do is set goals for themselves and come up with a plan that's going to help them get to their goal. You can't accomplish your goal by stopping what you're doing. If you develop a pathway to your goal, if you stop and then go down another street just to attend to somebody else because they want you, you are negating what you're trying to do, and that's accomplish your goal. Can't always look backwards. When is the time to look backwards? When you accomplish your goals. So looking back to grab boots, Bud ain't could do it. And those guys before Bud didn't do it for him. And Keith Thurman didn't do it for Earl. And now Earl ain't doing it for Boots. So is Bud too. They're not doing it for Boots. So we gotta stop being upset about normal, like routine, how things go. Um, what else he said? Like I said, Bud said we ain't friends. And he said it respectfully. He wasn't all chaotic like the Charlos and acting angry and acting like they crazy and shit. He was like, "Yo, we ain't friends, dog. We gonna be friends maybe after the fight, but right now we ain't friends until after the fight." I love that about Bud. That means he gonna kick his ass. Translation: I'm gonna kick your ass, and I hope after this ass whooping we could be friends. But we ain't gonna be friends till after I kick your ass, because I need to do that. And Bud told him, "I'm different. I'm different. Yeah, I'm different." Bud told him, "I'm different." Centos boxing in the building was popping king. Say hello, Miss T. Keep it rolling. Night night. Will do. Bud told that dude, "I'm different." It's funny when he said it, because you know, us girls out here, every time we give it a guy, like I remember being younger, you'd be like, "Well, I don't want to deal with this. I don't like all that shit." You always put out what you don't like. And every time the dude responds to be, sweetheart, I'm different. I ain't like these other niggas. I'm different." And what wind up happening? They be the same. So when Bud said it, I was laughing, because I'm like, "Bud, you say you different, and it's possible you could be the same. As far as Sean is concerned, you're just another opponent." But I believe Bud when he said that. That's that's the only thing. I got to take Bud at his word, because I know Bud is different. Bud is a complete fighter, and that's what all of y'all have to contend with. He is a complete fighter. That means something. We can't straddle the fence. If it means something for Tyson Fury as a complete fighter, why did Wilder lose? Because as y'all say, a lot of people say Tyson is a better boxer. That means he a complete more of a complete fighter than Deontay. Then how can it not mean that for Bud? When we know Bud is a more complete fighter. We know that. Documentation beats conversation. So I enjoyed the press conference. It was kind of mellow, but it was good for me. I know that these two guys, they might be like mellow type guys when they talking and all that. They don't want to walk around all ignorant and angry and shit. But when they get in that ring, them some motherfucking dogs right there. So come November 20th, we need to make sure we buy that pay-per-view. Shakur Stevenson and Jamel Herring is coming up next, October 23rd. That's a Showtime event, I believe. I don't think it's pay-per-view, but it will be held in Atlanta. And I might go to that one. I might. I don't know. But definitely I'll be watching if I don't go. Canelo's coming up. That's pay-per-view. On the 13th. I don't think that fight is pay-per-view. That was the Benavidez. That's a Showtime event. And then Buzz will be the 20th, and that is pay-per-view. And then Cool Step and Figueroa, I think that's going to be a regular TV, event. Um, and then we know that uh, Lomachenko, that might be regular TV, December 11th. Rolly and Javante, that will probably be a pay-per-view in December. So November is the hot month. Now that the Wilder fight is over, we all disappointed. November is the hot month. It's a hot ticket item. Eric Gomez said Bud is highly avoided. That's what Bud seems to think. And look, Coach G gonna be here Friday, y'all. He gonna break some shit down. And Coach G told y'all, hey, when Bud came into the division, he called everybody out. Their answer was go get a belt. And by Bud being an undisputed champion at 140, he had the unique opportunity to challenge any belt holder. So if he come in, and I don't know who all had the belts. I think it was Keith Thurman when Bud came up. I don't know if Earl had a belt. I don't know exactly what year again that he became a welterweight. Um, but when he came in, the only person that said I'll be your Huckleberry was the dude from Australia, Jeff Horn. So he had a belt. Why everybody calling Jeff Horn a tomato can or like he won't nothing. And we know that he was something. He had a belt. So what Bud's supposed to do? Not fight for the belt? Bud didn't give him the belt. Some sanctioned body gave him the belt because he apparently won the fight between Pacquiao. That was their decision. It had nothing to do with Bud Crawford. But he had a belt, and Bud wanted that belt. And Bud came at him like, you got to unass that belt. And he got it up off him. Now, do we like who Bud signed with? I already told y'all how I feel about black fighters signing with Bob Arum. But again, that's that man decision. I don't have anything to do with how a man makes his money or a grown woman. Don't got nothing to do with it. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. I might not like it, but I have to roll with it. Does that mean that Bud got over there to avoid fighters? No. Now we see that when it comes to Sean Porter, Bud been asking. Been asking. So now we got to see about everybody else. Has he been asking? We do know that when he came into the division, he asked everybody. They told him no. So let's not say that Bud is a scrub and he be avoiding people because he not. If he feel like people avoiding him, it's because what other conclusion could he have made when he come into the division and asks, yo, y'all want to get it in? No, get a belt. That's avoidance. Bruce Ennis today can say, y'all avoiding me. Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, Keith Thurman. Bruce Ennis can say that because he asked. And they said, apparently no. So this is why I'm saying, like, we got to be careful with our narratives and everything and how we look at stuff. And we got to make a concerted effort to be objective, and non-biased. And some people will be non-biased, and some people will be biased. But that's them. For me, and I don't even get into that all the way. But when you're talking to me or for me, I have to side with being non-biased. I have to, no matter how bad it hurt. It hurt me yesterday to my heart to even talk about Tyson Fury as a winner. That hurt me to my heart because I don't see him that way. But I have to go by the facts. Deontay lost. As bad as it hurt me, he lost. Now, as I said, I'm a woman of a particular age and I have a right to change my mind. Shout out to Wendy Williams because that was she always say. So if it comes out later in the weeks to come that Tyson Fury was doing some old fuckboy shit, we're gonna talk about it. I don't doubt it. I just didn't catch it. So I'm waiting patiently. But as of right now, he won. And that shit burned me every time I say it. But I have to keep saying it because I have to remain objective. To the guy, Ken, don't start no racial shit. And some people that probably went over their head, some people it didn't went over their head. Don't start no racial shit. No black people that I'm aware of, and I know a lot of black people. No black people that I'm aware of is talking like that. I don't even think you're black. You may be. I didn't even look up your picture. But we not talking like that. And if you say we are, you cooning. If you're black and you say we are, then you're cooning. Because we don't talk like that. We never have. There's no reason for people to dominate some shit and then be like, we looking for a great black hope. We didn't had many black, I was gonna say thousand. We didn't have many black hopes. The fuck we looking for them for? They there. They always there. We don't gotta look hard. It's just whenever they want to be a professional heavyweight, they'll do it. And they'll either be the goods or they won't. We don't have to look hard for that. Maybe you're projecting how you feel. You projecting that that's how you still feel. And you're trying to get solicit people to think like that. Don't do that, sir. Don't do that. That's not right. Let that shit go. Let that shit go. If y'all would let go the great white hope, we could let it go too. Y'all the ones to keep that going. Let it go. How about who's the best fighter? How about that? Let's just let's concentrate on that. Who's the best fighter? Can we get the best fighting the best? Right now, that's Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. That's it. Right now. That ain't got to be tomorrow. That ain't got to be next year. But today, that's what it is. So let's leave it at that. But don't put no jackets on us, sir. Because we not finna take that. Anybody want to call in? 706-804-4449. Sorry if it came off like a lecture. I had to say it. You guys got to point that out when y'all see that buffoonery happening because it starts off small. You don't catch it. And then it keeps going. Then it keeps going. Then it keeps going. It's like I told y'all. 100 years from now, if any of us are lucky enough to still be here, I know I won't be. But it wouldn't surprise me if they change the color of Muhammad Ali like they do Nefertiti. They do that now. They make busts of her that don't look nothing like an African. And this lady was black as hell. But that's what they do. And nobody says nothing. And guess what? They take it another step further and another step. Because God forbid you as black people think that you were special and have value And the only way you can have that is if we say, like I would say this, did y'all know the black in the sky is melanin? That's what it is. But God forbid, and see how crazy that is? I never knew that till I was an adult. Why would that be a secret, or why wouldn't that be taught in school? Why? What's the harm in that? Okay, it's melanin. Okay, that's it. But see, if you knew that that was melanin, you would start thinking that you were special. That melanin is actually a good thing. That what you would start thinking. Did y'all know that every organ in your body is covered in melanin, to include white people? Did y'all know that? That we all have melanin? That is an integral part of the human body or the animal species, period. Every organ in your body is covered in melanin. Has to be. If it's not, you ain't living. But see, again, if we see something covering your organ is real important. So, but if you knew that, you would start thinking that melanin is a good thing, that is not a bad thing. And that's what I mean by, revisionist writing, consensus writing. It's always done to favor some group or another. And that just need to stop. How about just the truth? So what? The sky is melanin covered. There's more black in the sky than it is stars that we see. That what it look like, right? And that's all melanin. And then let's translate that to people walking the earth. Who's the most melanated people? Ding, 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 ding. So if everywhere, everything that is important is covered in melanin, and everywhere it has melanin, then I'm gonna start thinking, girl, it's a good thing. You got melanin. You're melanated. That is a good thing. We can't have that. And that's why, like I said, I'm not trying to lecture, but this is why I point out certain things. And I had to jump on that article because that's starting shit. And I know where that goes. And I'm trying to stop it in its tracks. But thank y'all for listening. Anybody who want to call, last call for alcohol, you know, I'm sorry that that article caught my eye and I had to jump on it. But thank y'all for listening, and I will see y'all tomorrow.